Coach, just what's it been like just being back home now for a couple weeks now?
Busy. That's the easiest way to put it, but it's been awesome. You know, I drive down the streets, right, and all of a sudden I end up at the burrito spot I used to go to when I was in college, right? You know, it's changed names, but, you know, I don't even know the new name of it, but the burrito tastes the same. So, I mean, stuff like that where you can't replicate home, you can't replicate when you walk into a building and there's a little more passion when it's a place you want to be and not just a job. And for the majority of our staff, this is a destination. This is a place that they want to be at for the rest of their careers.
Yeah, that's something I think that we have both said, just getting the chance to talk to everybody. It seems it's very calculated with all of them, and they all very clearly have a connection here. Going through and deciding who you wanted to have that phone call with to bring here. Was it tough, or were there guys that you knew in the back of your head, you're like, okay, if I get this job, this is who I want here?
There were guys I knew. Like, I knew I wanted Brian Ward. I played him, and he's really good. So I said, I would like him. I would not like to play him again. So the best way to not play him is to hire him, right? And it happened to be he's from here, so it's like a 2-for-1, right? We played him. Probably schematically, you know, it's a guy I don't ever want to play again, so we just hired him. That was the easy way.
You've described his defense as chaotic and chaos, full of pressure. How would you describe your offense?
Pro-style offense that plays fast. You know, we're going to be pro-style with our mic points. We're going to challenge you mentally to learn the game at an NFL level, but we're going to play with a tempo that allows us to be explosive, right? This is a system built for playmakers. If you're a playmaker, you want to play in this system. It gets you in one-on-one situations, right? Sometimes it gets you in one-on-none situations. It is built for playmakers. So this is a system, pro-style offense that plays fast, that's built for playmakers.
We ask people, or specifically players, to compare their game, for example, right? The Carlos Brooks models his game after Nick Chubb. We've talked to Scatterbo. He models his game after Christian McCaffrey. In terms of coaching, how do you model your coaching?
I think a mix between, I would like to say, Pete Carroll, Mike Norvell, and Tony Dungy. I think those three guys, when I look at guys that I want to be remembered as, right, I think Pete Carroll has that positive energy that has always fed off to his team, and they've always played extremely confident because of it. Mike Norvell, and I've never been around him other than a few times, Mike Norvell has just created that culture of work. Like, we're going to work, we're not going to waver from the work, and we're going to continue to work, and look what happens if you continue to work and you push through all the bad times, you eventually get there, right? And then Tony Dungy is just somebody that the players can go to for the rest of their life. When you hear anybody talk about Tony Dungy, they can call him, they can pick up the phone, and they know Tony Dungy's there to help them. And because of that, those players would run through a wall for Tony Dungy because they knew how much he cared about them.
Definitely. You've mentioned how busy the last month has been for you. Throw on top of it an 8 to 9 month old. How has it been trying to balance that whole life?
Yeah, the last 3 weeks I've tried to at least have 1 week where myself, my wife, and our little boy Kent has been able to do something. So we went to Zoo Lights the other day just to do something. And you know, it's nice being in a city that you can go to a thing like Zoo Lights. I mean, little Kent was up there strapped in debris, and they're walking around, and he's looking, just making faces and as happy as you could possibly be. And I mean, that's really what this is about. Life in general, our program's about life and being successful in life. And what life is about family and relationships and enjoying it. If every day you wake up and you're miserable, I don't care how quote unquote successful you are based off other people's measurements, right? It means nothing. You better fall in love with learning how to enjoy getting better in the work. And the sooner you fall in love with the process of growth and the process of work, the happier you're going to be in life. And I firmly believe in that. And that's why this is going to be about having fun here. Can you have fun and work harder than anybody in the country? Can you do that? And that's the challenge, and that's the mission.
Coach, at 32, you have had a handful of coaching jobs. This is obviously the first head coaching job. I'm curious, what has been your low point of your coaching career? And then on the flip side, what has been the highlight thus far?
Low point? I mean, obviously at Florida State year 2, when we were in a process where we had to get better, we were 0-4 to start that year. Right now, we finished that season 5-2, and we completely flipped the culture. So I would say that would be the low point. Was, man, this is tough. Is this plan working? golly, we're year 2, we're 0-4, we're trying to flip this thing. Is this plan working? But it was also a high point at the same token. So I would say it's the low and the high point because I learned through that stage, yes, we hit the low point, but you eventually have to hit rock bottom to climb and to get back up. And we hit rock bottom, and then we got better and better and better. And that's when the kids really bought in to the work. And now you look at them, we finished the last year, 2 years ago, 5-2. And then you look, they built on that, and they finished this year 9-3. But it all started the second half of that last year. And I think for me, that was the low point, but it was also my high point because when those kids didn't quit and those kids kept fighting and they pushed through that stage, it was also showing that, man, you can't waver from what wins. You can't waver from your culture. You have to stand firm, and those kids stand firm, and now look at them. And I think that was the high and the low point.
Coach, in just a handful of weeks, you guys have made waves in both recruiting and the transfer portal. I know you're going to talk a little bit later about it, but a couple guys I have to ask about. Drew Pyne, I had the chance to cover him at Notre Dame for a couple seasons. He was never the quote-unquote guy there. Coming here, why is this situation different for him?
Yeah, well, like I told him here, he's going to have to compete, right? Our first day of spring ball, Trey, I mean, we're gonna send a starter out there that's been a starter here in the past. I told him that. All the guys we took, right? Because that person's earned it. And it's, all of their job on this team to win the job. My loyalty and what I want to do here is get people set for life and to win football games because I want to be here for 35 years, right? How do I do that? Play the best player. I'm always going to bring in a player that I feel can help our football team, but it's their job to win the job. It's their job to prove that he can help the football team. So I would say I see a lot of ability in the guys we've brought in, right? I see a lot of potential, right? I know where they can be, but when we get into the work piece of it, the best player is going to play.
Coach, you have coached with some of the best. You've seen some of the best programs. You've coached against some of the best programs. The Alabamas, Ohio States, the Georgias. How does Arizona State get on that level?
I think it's commitment. I think it's the commitment, and I use the term activate the valley, and it's kind of like this catchy thing that people are like, oh, what does it mean? I'm just going to hashtag it, though, because it's cool, right? What that means is, like, we have a spring game. We're going to have recruits on campus for the spring game. Are there 4,000 fans in the spring game and our recruits walk in and say, man, this place doesn't really care about football? Or are there 45, 50,000 fans in that spring game and we have this beautiful city, we have this beautiful campus, we have an unbelievably, a school that's the second largest in the country where the network for them can help them, and then they walk in and they're like, holy cow, there's 45,000, 50,000 fans here? That's activating the valley. That's bringing people there and being like, man, I can have this college football atmosphere and this? Holy cow. We need that as a staff. And when you really think about the city, right, is 45 to 50,000 people in this city really a lot? It's not. It's not. It's not hard to say we need 45,000, 50,000 people at the spring game. But you know how much value that adds to us at the program? That's what we need. People ask what we need. We need that. We need the butts in the seats, because if we get the butts in the seats and the people around the program to support it, when we get these players in here, we can tell them, see, we care. We care. It matters. And if we don't, then, we're going to do the same thing we've always done, bring kids in, and they're going to say, oh, well, do they really care? I can't be the one who only cares. This city has to care because kids feel it.